Drum solo with announcements, but here we are. So welcome to Pacific Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a beacon of justice and goodwill here in the South Bay. We're going to have a service today that's very open. I'll explain that in a minute, but here are a few upcoming announcements. Grab your pencils. I'm going to light our chalice in a second with Gary, but here's some of what's coming up. So next week, this is in no particular order, next week we're going to have part 2 of our sort of mental health healing service around the struggles folks have with mental health issues and the things that we can do to practice this. I'm going to highlight an opportunity that we haven't fulfilled yet, and it's sort of we're teasing with the idea of being involved with CASA, which are being court-appointed special assistants. So Frank Adams has brought this to our attention. It's a great way for us as people of established tenor to step into the lives of foster kids and make a difference. So that's a ministry we might engage with. So if anyone has any interest in that, please come forward and see if we can prepare ourselves to help some kids who really could probably use it. We have a book group coming up on the 19th, but the book group involves reading a book. So we have a book called The Salt Eaters. That's Thursday, November 19th. So you can check in on the website around details about that, but you might want to get ahead of that if you're going to read a big book. Saturday, we always have, or have had a series. Our last in the series is on intersectionality. This is Saturday at 10. A small group of people, roughly around 10, have been gathering outside for these services. We went inside yesterday with a small group because of the rain. We've had great conversations around this, and I hope you've been tuning in. So this is going to be, we have a gay African-American man who's going to talk about intersectionality. Today at 1, we have another race-based conversation, which is going to continue, and there are, groups of, 15 to 20 folks, engaging in the education around undoing structural racism in this world. Today, if you're here and online on eBay, Julia Schwartz, the painter, a former member, donated a bunch of paintings to us. There's over 50 of them. There's 6 or 7 on display here today. And today, or at we're having a talent show kind of entertainment day next Saturday at 3:30. And you can come see those paintings live here, online soon. But this is a fundraiser, and they're watercolors. They're rather attractive. He was a former member, now lives in San Diego. So plenty of opportunities for that. Let's see. Next Saturday is a good chance that we're going to be cleaning up the path. There were a few of us in the garden this Saturday, but the rain could have kept us out of the enlightenment path. But Andy might sort of want to call a bunch of people who want to garden or do some gardening on the path, keeping that clean. Let's see. I want to thank Carolyn and Ray for pulling together our garden cleanup. We thank George Stein and Mary for pulling together the soup, which is a benefit for the South Bay Food Coalition that's helping homeless people and people in need get food. So we've donated some. They made some great soup. There's still some left here. You want to come and make a donation or just come and get some of these Japanese-based soups? That's great. So, let's see. Next Saturday, 3:30, if you want to gather here in person, we're socially distancing. Gabby's gonna spin that camera around, if you don't mind, and show us here where anyone who didn't come with somebody is pretty safely distanced. And we've got hand sanitizers everywhere, and we've got cold people on a California morning here gathering. Okay. So I want to invite Gary Hart, our former president, and Mr. Everyman. He's going to read our chalice words, and I'm going to light our chalice.
Mr. Ne'er-do-well. Today's chalice lighting words come from Derek Jackson, who's the Director of Ministries for Lifelong Learning. Spirit of life, goodness of justice, God of the crossroads, help us to present to those whom we serve, who need us now and will continue to need us for days to come. Give us the resilience to ground ourselves in hope, the courage to respond with the force of love. May we find comfort for our own aching souls in the holy breath, connections with a colleague, moments of inward reflection. Held by the power of love, empowered by the fierceness of justice, buoyed by the potential of the crossroads, we pray. Blessed be. Amen. Ashe.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It may be hard, we know, but the road will everybody on the road, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know we will. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 Oh yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. So cool. We're going to have two children's moments today. So anyone who's young, anyone who's young, come to the front of the screen. You can push aside your parents and get to the front. We're going to have both Lisa Seitz and Tracy Blender are going to share with us a moment for the kids.
Good morning, everybody. So first I want to start off with a woo-hoo. Feels good to feel good. But I'm going to guess things have been a little tense around your house this past week. Whether you're a little kid, a medium-sized kid, a almost adult kid, or an adult who's still a kid, which is pretty much all of us. I'm sure you've noticed it's been pretty tense, and I'm sure you know why it's been pretty tense. You know, there was a presidential election, and a lot of people cared about this election a lot. And even if you really weren't a part of everything that was going on, when people are tense around you, it's hard to not be tense. It's hard to not notice. And then there was yesterday, which for most of our families, especially since we're Unitarian Universalists, we were pretty happy. And that happiness may have seemed a little manic. I know it did at our house. So what was that? You know, when you look at what all that was about, there's a couple of things going on. One is that Tuesday was an election and everybody went to vote, and we were supposed to know who the next president of the United States was going to be, whether it was going to be Donald Trump or Joe Biden. But that night we didn't know, and everybody kind of waited and looked at their phones all night, and in the morning we didn't know, and then we didn't know, and then we didn't know. And so that's kind of why all the tension. Just think about if you said to your family, like, hey, can we get ice cream tonight? And your family's like, I don't know, I'll tell you in a while. And you're like, did you decide? And they're like, no. You're like, are we gonna get ice cream? And they're like, I'll tell you later. After a while, you just want to go, are we gonna get ice cream or not? That's kind of what it felt like, okay? But as Unitarian Universalists, we have our principles, and I love them all, but one of my favorites is the inherent worth and dignity of every being. And our president, up until January, when he will no longer be our president, Donald Trump, did not demonstrate to many people that he felt the inherent worth and dignity of everything living. And a lot of people were very upset about that, sad, disappointed, angry, hurt, confused, or all of that at once. And we've spent the last 4 years of his presidency wondering how this person could lead us when we didn't feel he had the inherent worth and dignity that's so important to many, many, many people, but certainly Unitarian Universalists. And so on Tuesday, we had a chance to vote and hope that more people in this country decided that that was important to them, very important to them enough that they would not allow this man to lead us for another 4 years. And it was very close. It was very, very, very close, but ultimately more people understand what it's like to behave and to be treated with inherent worth and dignity, and decided that this man should no longer lead our country. And they have chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead our country. And that's where all this jubilation comes from. It wasn't just an election. It was also about who we are and what we are. So I'm betting that there have been times when you felt like you weren't being treated with inherent worth and dignity. I'm sure we all have. What can we do about that? You know, we can learn by treating everybody with inherent worth and dignity. We don't have to like them. And by doing that, we learn how to be that ourselves. And by doing that, we show other people what it's like to feel that. And by doing that, we improve our lives and the people around us, because we hold that as one of our 7 principles. And in 4 years from now, 8 years from now, 36 years from now, you will be standing at a ballot box, and you will be standing around perhaps another person who doesn't look like they're going to lead this country with that worth and dignity. And more people will have become accustomed to not be able to tolerate living without it. And you will have done something epic. And now for Miss Lisa Sight.
Good morning, it's me. Today I have on my steampunk jewelry. And the reason I have this steampunk jewelry on is because steampunk people who create things are called makers. So when you make something out of just seemingly bits and pieces or what you have around you, it gives you great joy. And when you have those weeks that are tense, and when you have months when you can't go out and play, and you can't see your friends, and you can't come to church, and you can't do all the things that usually fill your life with joy, like yesterday filled a lot of hearts with joy, the arts can be a way for you to achieve that kind of happiness and that kind of joy. And the arts encompass everything that people make. if you make jewelry like the makers do, or if you write songs, or if you write poetry, or if you were a novelist. So I decided I would make a list of things that you might want to try. And the first one is you can make a chant. And you can take a chant that you know and just change it around. Like, you know, we will rock you, rock you. We will rock you, rock you. Put a mask on your face. It's no disgrace. Don't spread germs all over the place. We will rock you.
Rock you.
You can add new words to chants you already know. You can put new words to songs that you know. You can look around and find all kinds of things. So this is the list that I made. And to me, to sing a song brings me great joy. Like if you were a little kid and your mom or dad or uncle or aunt or great aunt sang songs to you as a child, you know how soothing that can be and how that kind of is very restful and makes you feel really good. You can make up a chant like we just did. You can draw or paint. You can use paints, acrylics, you can use food coloring, you can use sand, you can make whatever kind of painting or drawing that you want. And it doesn't have to be of real things. You can just make squiggles and then make them into something. Your family can make a real simple mask and make monsters behind it, and then you can trade the monsters and you can write a story about the monster that you got behind the mask. You can make sock puppets. All you need is some old socks and anything you find around the house. Felt or feathers or buttons or anything that you can find, even leaves that you go out and find in the outside. You can write a poem. Just start with a word and see where it goes. You can make haiku, you can make couplets, you can make all different kinds of poems. You can go to the beach and make a sand castle, or if you have sand in your backyard or mud or anything, you can just make shapes and make something. You can write a story. You can write a story about your animals. You can write a story about your parents or people at school, or you can write a story about a plant that didn't have enough leaves and how sad it was, and how when summer came, then it got to be happy. You can play an instrument like Severn does, and that makes you really happy. An instrument is like your voice is an instrument for you, and musical instruments make everybody happy. You can illustrate or a poem that you write or a story or anything that you feel like you want to do. You can hum, you can whistle, you can tap dance, you can belly dance, you can do anything that you want that's creating something, whether it's in the moment or it's going to last. So the arts are really very fundamental to our lives. It's what makes us human beings. It's what makes society good for everyone that's around you. So take a few minutes, make something, and you can become a maker too. Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. Our candle of joy and concern for the joy that the waiting is over around the election. I want to it's a candle of joy for all those who feel elated from the results of this election, and it's a candle of concern for all those who feel like their nation disappointed them. So we reach out to everyone, regardless of their political persuasion here, and you know it's hard to lose for all of us, and as half the country or a good chunk of it felt like we went the wrong way. So I want to extend a special thought out to those folks and to see if we can bridge the gap and bring our nation back together. Lisa, who just spoke, is going in for shoulder surgery tomorrow, and that's a concern for us. Her daughter is sick and having trouble with her elbow, and we've got a lot of folks out there recovering from hip surgery, and a lot of folks tired of being at home. So we gather here in thoughts of all of those things. And I'd like to invite up our own Leanne Hart, who's going to read a prayer and send us into a time of musical meditation. Leanne?
Good morning. Today's prayer is based on the words of UU Julie Fanslow. Let us pause and take a deep breath. We have been living through a time of great difficulty, great uncertainty. We now have a ray of hope on the horizon. Let us rest and get ready to lean all the way in to the promise that the United States values and cares for everyone. For the sake of all of our loved ones, the ones who are gone, those who are here, and those who are yet to be born, we can't stop now. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you, Severin. So, Unitarian Universalism grew up in America. We have a little bit of influence from Europe, but both traditions, the Unitarians and the Universalists, are American. And there probably isn't any tradition, I'm overextending this, but there certainly isn't in America a tradition that's more core to our values than the Unitarian Universalist tradition. We pick up that very notion of democracy, and today we employ that democracy to invite folks to come forward and share what's on their hearts and minds, because in this church, and a church where the minister does not get a vote, in the church where the power rests with people and not an establishment, Unitarian Universalists have right in our core principles the very value of democracy. I thought, what better way to share today, whether it be celebratory or grieving, whatever it happened to be, I thought today would be a great day while the weather still holds to be outside for one time and invite people to come forward and share what their experience has been as we built up to what has been probably the most significant election in my lifetime, certainly that. UUs around the country under the banner of UU Vote, more than 4,500 UUs participated in that campaign. We did not even officially participate in that, and we ourselves sent out roughly around 3,200 handwritten postcards to encourage people in Georgia and North Carolina to get out. So we likely made a difference. And over UUs around the country alone under that banner reached out to 2.79 million voters to help people vote, given that democracy is such a core part of who we are. And in that spirit, I now invite people to come forward and share what's on their hearts and minds in a kind of public joy and concern around the end of an election. Feels almost like a holiday. And for people to come up forward and to spend, I don't know, somewhere less than a minute. You know, we want to create space for everyone. We don't know how many people are going to want to share, but I do want you now to come forward, put my mask on, and people could come forward and share what experiences that they've had, what their hopes for the future are, what anxiety they've experienced over the last few weeks and months. And please come forward and share where you're at, and celebration, and you know, all of that. Welcome here. Here we go. Go Good theater demands people come forward. My lack of a sermon preparation demands people come forward. Here, Stephen, go ahead.
Well, like for many people, this has been a difficult time. And in the beginning, I was very, very nervous. I was helped because there was a text line going out every day that I got to follow and be buoyed by. I had a dear friend to support me through all of this. So that made me very happy. And the results, those of you who know me know I'm very happy. But I guess most thrilled lately is to watch the celebrations yesterday and to see how many young people were out joyful, peaceful in the streets. It gives this old man hope for a better tomorrow.
Thank you, Stephen.
I just want to say that I've been a women liber for a long, long time. And yesterday, and after 4 years ago, having such a horrible experience in not having a woman being able to govern like we have had men. So yesterday, Kamala Harris being our first Black, Indian, female vice president was just so exciting.
I'd like to share one little thought from that I heard yesterday. Na 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 na, na na na, hey hey, goodbye. Na 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 na, na na, hey hey hey, goodbye. Na 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 na. Na na na, hey hey hey, goodbye. I heard that song. I was at the rally yesterday, and I heard it several times popping up in different parts of the crowd.
Yeah. Naresh, please join us.
Well, now that we know who is our
Closer.
now that we know who is our president-elect and vice president-elect, so I thought I will help everybody with how to pronounce the name of the vice president-elect. Because so far we have heard Kamala, Kamala, and Camila, and Kevlat, but that's my own. But let me correctly, at least as far as I can, pronounce it. It is Kamla. Kamla. Repeat after me.
Kamala.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nari.
Well, if no one's going to share, I guess I will. Oh, yeah, well, come on. Here we are. Try that first.
Is this working?
I don't know. Here,
Not
use
so
it.
much. Unitarian Universalists, if you poll a whole bunch of them about the subject of rituals, every once in a while we're such a democratic group that we'll reevaluate what people like and what they want in our services. And some people, you'll ask 20 people and 10 of them will say, I want more ritual in our services. And the other 10 people, no, too much, that's like we don't want ritual in ours. And if you ask Unitarians, some will say they believe in prayer, and some will say they don't believe in prayer. And some of us will say that they do pray, and some will say that they don't pray. And on the ritual, I kind of like it. I don't like as much as I had growing up in a Catholic church, but I do appreciate ritual. I think it serves a place. And a week or so ago, somebody suggested that a lot of us ladies wear pearls, just kind of to channel Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And a lot of us did that, we wore pearls. And I just love the ritual of that. And guess what? It worked too. And that's the other thing. And then I found myself a couple of days before November 3rd, outside walking around in my backyard, just looking up and really seriously, intensely praying for our country. Please, please save our country. Please, please, save our country, bless our country. And so it was actually Leanne Hart who came up with a little 3 Ps of prayer, pearls, and Prosecco. So, whatever works, it really worked. And I also shared such joy, as Steve already mentioned, of seeing all the young people dancing and happy and screaming with joy in the streets. How wonderful is that?
Thank you, Jared. Just go ahead, you can talk through it.
I got a call last night from Julius Schwartz. He and his wife, Ginny, were longtime members at PUC in the 90s, and then they left in 2006 for retirement. He's just moved into he called me because of the election to talk to somebody. He's in his mid-90s, and he is still painting. He has been painting for 60, 70, 80 years, I'm sure. He has donated 50 of his paintings, originals, and I have most of them in here. Some are displayed. I can get out others, and there will be 5 that will go on eBay tomorrow, I believe, except one has already been sold.
Okay.
Tracy Blender.
Okay, great. We're going to spin our camera over here just to change our background.
Hey everybody, what a wonderful day, huh? I can tell you that people abroad are just as happy as many of us are. But let's not forget the other 70.5 million people who are now in a place of pain, right? And in the same place of pain that we have been in for quite a while, or many of us have been in for quite a while. And we somehow have to reach them and be aware of the fact that fascism doesn't disappear overnight. But hey, it's gonna be all right.
Tell them how you know that's true.
Yeah, I mean, for the few of you who don't know me, I'm from Germany, and we unfortunately know how it happens. And I half jokingly say, if anybody ever in the United States asks me again how Hitler was possible, I'm going to punch them in the face.
Okay, we're officially not going to punch people in the face at Pacific Unitarian Church, but we are going to invite up Robin Earhart to share a few words.
Lisa perfectly articulated what I feel about a woman being vice president now. And I think one of my favorite moments was watching the screen when she was speaking, because they panned out to the crowd and all the people who were crying. And so that's been my favorite part. And seeing like a little black girl holding a doll of Kamala Harris, and then like on Facebook we have pictures of Rosa Parks saying, you know, she sat so that little Ruby could walk, so that Kamala could run, and I just was so moved by that.
Thank you, Robin.
I know I was just so
Closer to the
terrified.
mic, you gotta, no, yeah.
I know I was just so terrified for our democracy.
Closer. You gotta talk louder if you're gonna talk now.
All right.
Yeah.
I was scared for our democracy. And I have a very dear friend who's also a business associate who is Muslim, he's French citizen, born in France, and is living in Russia right now because he can't get back into China where he was living, running a bunch of plants. This man knew more about what was going on in our election. I have never gotten so many texts in my life. What we mean to the rest of the world and what has happened here, I just don't think that anyone has the understanding of how important this election was for our world standing. And for that, I am so grateful. And I really, really want to try to embrace those 70 million and just be there so they understand that this is all about democracy and not about a person.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan. Leanne?
One of the things that will be emblazoned in my memory from this week is seeing over and over again the map of the United States in the red and the blue, and how huge that swath down the middle of the country of red states is. And we have a lot of work ahead of us. The new administration has a lot of work. Number one, pandemic. Number two, I'm doing a lot of the things that has been put in place in the last 4 years. But number three has got to be, we have to learn how to live together in peace.
I do want to say, Kelly's going to come up and say a few words, but I want to thank Kelly and Leanne, who were instrumental in us getting out those 3,200 postcards. I know, right, and you think about Georgia, how close it was great to participate in a democracy where you can make a difference. I know Naresh's wife, Susan, a lot of us have been as active as we can possibly be, donating, being as active, and I just want to be grateful, not to pick sides, but just to be engaged in the process. Being engaged in the process, obviously, is what makes the process work. It's obviously that simple. And Kelly?
Yeah, the postcarding was a lot of fun. I haven't been as involved. I haven't been as involved in an election in a very long time. And even though I think I've been an activist most of my life, I think I get involved. I think I'm reinvigorated. And my fear is, or my hope is, that all of us and all of the young people who got out and were very active and participated in this process continue, because I had to resolve myself to thinking that it may not have gone this way, and had it not, the only thing we could do is keep working and keep working even harder. So what we get to do now is keep working and keep working even harder, because it's not over.
Okay. Okay, hurry.
Okay.
I think we have news from distant cities.
I captured this when reading about reactions from around the world. And this is the Nigerian president, and please all forgive me, I'm not going to attempt to slaughter his name, but I will tell you his words. It is a victory of good over evil, and it is not victory for you and the people of America alone, but victory for most people of the world, majority of whom watched helplessly as the world that had been steadily and painstakingly built since the end of the Second World War was being pulled down, he said in a statement.
Well, it is our tradition that we donate to the church. It's a long-standing church tradition. And there was a pastor standing in the pulpit of a mega church, and his message was simple. He said, we have enough money in this church to fulfill all our goals, have all our programs met, have everything. He goes, that is the good news. The bad news is it's still in your pockets. So please go online, give generously to Pacific Unitarian Universalist Church, and be a part of this democracy and supporting us. Thanks.
Everyone, let us remember that this church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences and beneath all of our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent unity and witness.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste and blessed be. We speak the languages as many as we can of the world's faith. And in that spirit, now our service truly begins. Take it away, Seth. Thank you for joining us today. A celebration of democracy. Please join us on the website for future events and on services on Sunday. Thanks. Go in peace.